Hey guys, I'd like to have a chat with you today about bad days, because they're something that we all experience. I experience them, everybody does. No matter how much work you do on yourself, no matter how much better you get, you're still just going to have bad days. You'll feel the dark creeping back in, you'll feel the old demons having a little whisper in your ear, and you have to recognise it for what it is. It's just a bad day. It doesn't mean that you're not progressing anymore. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It doesn't mean that the plan isn't working. You're just having a bad day. And unfortunately, they are a completely normal and natural part of getting better. And everybody goes through them. But there's a few ways you can deal with them. And there's some stuff that I've definitely learnt over the years of them coming and going. I mean, they get a lot less as you move forward, but I don't know if you can ever eradicate them completely. Maybe you can, but I just haven't gotten to that part of my journey yet. I'm not at the end of my journey, and I'm still probably near the beginning of it, but so far, I haven't found a way of getting rid of them completely. I've just found a way of making them as minimal as possible, as rare as they can be, and dealing with them when they happen. And some of my favourite ways to deal with them is to recognise them. I feel that panic in my chest, the world loses a little bit of colour, and I know that tomorrow I'm going to wake up and it's going to be a bad day. It's going to feel like I've fallen back. It's going to feel like it used to. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is fall back to all the terrible habits that I used to rely on when those bad days used to be every day. It's going to be my first instinct. And that's not an unusual thing, because if you think about it, you spent God knows how long, years, maybe most of your life, working at these bad days and doing it in a way where you wake up, you feel like shite, it's every single day, and you go into all those terrible habits that you built over years to cope with them. And we've made so much progress past that we no longer rely on those terrible habits. But it's really hard when you just get sucker punched, you just get blindsided. One just comes out of nowhere. You had a good week, you were hanging out with your mates, you were going to the gym, you were going on hikes, you were keeping up all your hobbies, you were doing really well. And for no reason, you just wake up with that weight on top of you. It just is what it is. So what you have to do is recognise it and go, it's a bad day. Don't fight against it. Don't try and act like it's not there, because you'll just suppress it and then end up doing things out of desperation and not even realise it, and you'll end up falling back. Recognise what it is. Say it out loud. Get up, look yourself in the mirror even, and just go, I'm having a bad day. We've had hundreds of these. We've survived hundreds of these. We know how to deal with these. We've learned a load of healthy coping mechanisms for this moment exactly, and deploy them. Maybe that day we don't strive for bounding forward. We just strive for not falling back, which is just as valuable. Going from 1 to 2 is just as valuable as not going to -1 from 1. Do you know what? Terribly phrased, but you know what I mean. Taking a step forward is amazing, and that's how you get to where you're going. But fighting the steps back are just as important. And the way you do it is by acknowledging it. Looking it straight down the barrel and going, this is a bad day. I've planned for this. And whatever you've planned for, maybe going to the gym is your new thing, maybe arts and crafts, maybe hiking, maybe climbing, maybe I'm just saying these are the kind of things that I do, but whatever it is, maybe you talk to a friend, maybe you journal, maybe you do whatever, maybe you just put on a comfort movie, you treat yourself to a little bit of food, as long as food addiction wasn't your problem originally, I guess, whatever doesn't re-trigger evil things in you, you treat yourself to a little something, you know? And you comfort yourself and you just deal with it. And two things happen. You let them play out. You just, instead of fighting it and holding it off and just pushing and pushing and pushing, it just gets to move past you. It just gets to roll by as it has to. Maybe it's a hormonal thing, maybe it's an emotional thing, maybe something set you off, maybe something triggered you, maybe some memories came back. Whatever it is, maybe you don't even know what it is. It just has to run its course. Just let that bad day roll by. And if you let that happen, you can wake up the next day and go, we survived that. We've learned a few things. We know what happens. Next time could be weeks, months, years until we get another bad one. But we'll know. We've learned something from this one. And that is so valuable. It's so valuable because next time it won't be as scary. It won't be as worrying. Because I remember in the beginning, whenever I'd have these bad days, I would panic. Because I'd feel like I was losing the grip. I'd feel like I was just holding on by my bare fingertips. And as soon as a bad day started creeping around the corner, I go, what if I let go? What if I blink and it's 6 months down the line and I've completely fallen back and I have to fight that battle again, which did happen to me a couple of times. And it is terrifying. But I realised that it was happening because I'd wake up and I go, it's a bad day. Ignore it. Don't even think about it. It's not even happening. Blah, blah, blah. And then I would get this anger, this anxiety inside me. And at some point throughout that day, somebody would just push me. They'd just say the wrong thing. They'd do the wrong thing. I'd have a bit of road rage in traffic. Somebody would bump past me in the street. I'd see somebody from my old life and they'd antagonise me. And all of a sudden, I've done something I shouldn't. I've lost my temper. I've screamed at somebody. I've displayed my old self completely. And then because I've done that, I've panicked and I've fallen back to terrible habits and substances that I used to rely on. And it's in the blink of an eye. And that stopped happening for me when I started acknowledging them. I get up in the morning, I go, it's a bad day. And then throughout that day, if somebody pushed me or if any of those triggers happened, I'd see it and go, well, this is definitely triggering for me today because I'm already having a bad day. And just kind of that acknowledgement of what's happening kind of just showed me that it wasn't the be all end all. It wasn't my whole world. It was just a combination of things. And I can take a breath, I can step back. Don't tackle that problem today. Don't talk to that person today. Don't try and make that bit of progress that I think is going to be extra difficult today. That's tomorrow's problem. Today, we're just holding ground. We're just saying, we're not going to succumb to all of that other stuff. And that is so valuable. And I have to say that I think that's 50% of it. Honestly, I think that doing the work, gritting your teeth, doing the things that are difficult, building new habits, making yourself mentally and physically healthy, building new relationships, taking on things that frighten the absolute life out of you. These are all great bounds forward and they feel amazing. But they're worth nothing if as soon as you wake up on a bad day, you just slide back completely. You have to learn to dig your heels in when progress isn't an option. I think I said something, well, I know I said something, but I think I said it a couple of months ago where I said that if optimism isn't possible for you right now, just try curiosity. I can't remember if I came up with that or stole it from somewhere else, but I know that it was in my head for weeks and it really helped me at a time where I was like, look, I can't be optimistic right now. I just can't see a good end to this. But what I can do is just be curious about how it plays out if I don't give in. Do you know, if I can't do it, I've had this thought as well. Now, I'm hesitant to say this because this probably wouldn't work for everybody and it could be quite damaging for some people to hear this, but I'm going to say it because my whole thing is honesty and translucency. And something that I used to say to myself is, I can give up in 3 days. I can give up in 3 days. I can give up tomorrow. If I wake up tomorrow or in 3 days and I haven't made any progress at letting this roll past and I'm just sliding back and I've dug my heels in, I'll give up. I'll give up. I'll accept defeat. But the thing is by saying that, I gave myself an oomph of, well, look, let's just do these 3 days then. And by the time it came to the deadline that I'd set for myself, I always felt better. I always felt like I could hold on. Even if it hadn't rolled past completely, I'd just given myself a bit of momentum, a bit of confidence that I can hold where I am. And that is so important. And the other thing is, when you're having good days, prepare for the bad ones. Don't just wait for one to show up and then when one shows up, go, oh, the guy on the internet in the silly hat warned me about this. Prepare for it now. If you're having a good day, if you're having a great day, even if you've had a good couple of weeks or a good couple of months, prepare for it. Go, what feels good? Keep a journal of what feels good, not just what feels bad. I'll make a whole video on that at some point, but just writing down these things didn't work, that's not really enough, a good idea. You can continuously look at what didn't work. Write down what did work. I'd argue that keeping a journal of, I had a good day today, what dictated that good day? Write those things down and prepare. Go, these are my comfort foods, these are my comfort movies, these are my comfort people. This is how I'll hold on when I can't move forward. And then when it happens, go back and look what you wrote down. And deploy that protocol for the bad day. And I promise you, you do one and you go, it's a miracle that I survived that one. You do 2, you do 3, you do 4. I've done hundreds. And eventually, you just feel them coming, know how to treat them, acknowledge them as they go past, and they just don't affect you anymore. And maybe further down the road, I'll make another video at some point talking about the fact that I don't have them anymore, because maybe the more and more that I just learn to acknowledge them, they're not bad days anymore. They're just days. They're just days that don't feel hugely motivating and brilliant and sparkling. They're just days. For now, I still have some bad ones. But I have gotten to a point where I know what to do. I watch certain comfort movies. Superbad. Hilariously. I watch Superbad. And I just spend some time by myself. And then I spend some time with people. And I juggle that. Maybe I need to be alone. Maybe I need to talk to some people. mostly my partner, my fiancée. And I know how to do it. I know what topics to avoid. I know what topics to dig into. I know what things to say to myself. I know how to treat myself. And I've learned not to bully myself because it's happening. Just acknowledge them and let them roll past. And you can do that too. If you're in the midst of a bad day, just know that it'll roll past. If you're having good days, prepare for a bad one. And if you think that the next bad one's going to knock you off track, it doesn't have to. Even if loads of them have, it doesn't have to. You just have to learn to see them, say it out loud, know what to do, and acknowledge them as they go past. And you'll be okay. I hope this helps.